Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Currently Wednesday the 9th of September. Going to give you a quick rundown of how the month is going first of all. In today's video I'm going to be doing a little bit of a Q&A, so getting back to some questions that have been left in the comments on YouTube over the last few videos. I'll talk about my social media strategy, how that's going, and I'm under a lot of pressure to get back to all the inquiries. I'm fairly inundated. I need to switch something up, so I'll tell you my plans and what I'm hoping to do in order to start getting back to everyone a bit more efficiently. But what we have going on this morning, we have a couple of Petrol 1 series about to go live. This one is a 2017, I think, M Sport, and we have a 2016 out there. A few Mercs still there. Still not a massive amount of inquiries on them, so hopefully they'll be shifted in the next week or two. Still have the Touring. I think the mileage is killing that a small bit. May have to drop the price on it to get it to move. 4 series is sold. A couple of nice Beamers there. 6 series about to go live. Needs to go to Valeton first. That A5 sold very quickly, and we have a Tiguan about to go live today. Lots of cars in prep. We got a lovely blue Audi A4 in, a 2020. A guy approached me from the private market, and this is a funny one. I paid $5,500 more for that car than he was being offered as a trade-in in the garage that he originally bought it from. I'll get straight into that. So this is not a main dealers or robbers kind of a thing, far from it. The reason I was able to pay more than that was because a lot of main dealers, including some of the ones I used to work for, they're at the mercy of the auction. So the guy rang me, we were on the phone chatting about his car. I goes to him, how much do you want for it? And as I said it, I said, do you know what? It doesn't even matter. I'll just price it up accordingly, because 99 times out of 100, they're going to overinflate the price because they're scared shitless of undervaluing the car and me getting more margin than I need. So I told him what I needed. He pretty much jumped at it. The day we actually did the deal and I took the car, I asked him, just out of curiosity, I don't care, I'm making enough on it. Would you tell me how much that you're being offered in the dealer? And yeah, when he told me $5,500 less, he was explaining, he was kind of bitter about it and it was a bit insulting. But the reason, and I explained this to him, is they're at the mercy of the auction. So all they have to go off is previous tenders. So all they'll have is a reg, model of car and a price that it went through. And that car could have been wrecked or it could have been spotless. They don't know, so they have to assume that it was pretty all right. Whereas I know my market, I know it sells quick and I know how much I need to make, so there's no messing about. I sell these cars on repeat over and over again, whereas that particular make and model, there might only have been 2 or 3 gone through that auction in the last few months, so he might have a very small sample size, or she, in this case, the sales lady, might have a very small sample size to go off. So first warranty job of the day, I'm sitting in a customer's Audi A6 S-Line Black Edition, a lovely car, a car that I actually overpaid for and sold at a very small margin. The reason I overpaid for it is because the mileage was so good, such a nice car, I knew it would sell instantly, and it did. But I'm probably in the negative on it at this stage. We have an ongoing issue with the brakes. Now this customer is currently well over her mileage cap for the warranty, but because the issue did occur while she was in warranty and because it's ongoing, I'm still going to stand over it. So the standard motor factor brakes warped. We thought, okay, the penny had dropped at about this stage about the motor factor brakes, which I mentioned in a previous video. So he switched to Brembo. Again, they warped. So we're thinking now that it couldn't be the brakes. It couldn't be the discs, should I say. So what we done was change the caliper on the most warped disc. That didn't work. So we're 3 sets of discs in, probably 4 now actually. We're a caliper in. And our next port of call is to do the ABS pump. So I have to bring this car down to the workshop, get the pump taken out. The customer has a courtesy car for the week. The pump has to be sent down to Cork, reconditioned or whatever they do with it, I'm not really too sure. And please God, this gets to the bottom of it, because Brembo brakes are not cheap. So now Wednesday the 10th. I made a mistake yesterday saying it was Wednesday. I have a bit of baby brain, not sleeping great. But I mentioned earlier I was thinking about getting some sort of AI software to help me with inquiries. A guy approached me who deals with a lot of the big companies in Ireland, and he suggested it to me. I'm due to have a Zoom call meeting with him some stage this week. And it's a great complaint to have, but I'm struggling to keep up. And whenever somebody messages my business or makes a phone call, I always want to, even if they're not buying a car, at least respond back. It means a lot to me that they're after inquiring with me, so the least I can do is get back to them. And I know that I'm missing someone. I know some are slipping through the cracks, and it's killing me a small bit. I spoke to the guy who does my website yesterday about it, seeing what he thought, and he seemed to think it was a bad idea. He said that AI would be more for car supermarkets, that people are looking for a cheap car, a cheap product and a cheap service, whereas my thing is, it's personal, it's getting to know me from the get-go. So he doesn't think it will work out for me. So I need to have a chat with the guy who is presenting the Zoom call to me, see what the story is and make a decision on it, because I just can't keep up. So look, great complaint, we'll see what happens with that. So what's going on for the day is trying to get cars advertised, waiting for some stuff to come back through Valet. This 5 Series went live fairly late yesterday evening, and the phone absolutely exploded for it. I think it's priced very sharply. So there's a lady coming down from Kilkenny as we speak. It's now 9:20. She should be here any minute, and we'll see if she wants it. I haven't spoken too much about it with her yet, but really nice car. I think she'll be impressed with it. So a little bit of our marketing recently before we get going. In the last video I mentioned I was going to try and entice people to leave negative comments on the price of this BMW by leaving the sticker board in the window. It didn't really work too well. I only got 3 or 4 comments, and the majority of them were like, oh, I know it's not your fault, but it's overpriced. There was one person who was a bit tick about it. And I think I was actually too cheap on that car, because the phone absolutely blew up and it sold pretty much straight away. So I did a risky one on my personal TikTok. I listed out the 5 worst customers I ever dealt with. And I know that sounds a bit unprofessional, and it probably was, but as I mentioned before, this is the kind of marketing I'm going for. I'm just being transparent. And I did it in a nice way. I started off by saying 99% of people are fantastic to deal with, but here are the worst, and they were pretty bad. I have a full video recorded for YouTube, which I will upload in due course. But one of the guys on the list was a guy who came in and test drove our most expensive car. He tore the bumper off it in the forecourt. When I asked him if he was going to buy the car, he said he was, but he had no money to buy it. He had rotten credit history and he had no business in here test driving our car. But he promised me he'd pay for the damage. It turns out he ghosted me for a year. I had to contact him to no avail. I eventually sent a threatening letter looking for the money before I went legally with it, and his mammy came in and sorted the bill. 50% of people, to my surprise, it wasn't even on my radar that this one would upset people, but 50% of people agreed with me. Dead right to go chasing him. You know, fairly embarrassing, take responsibility. But 50% of people thought I was a lunatic for chasing this man for the money. How dare I? That's what you have insurance for. I don't care about your premium going up for €1,500. How dare you chase a private individual for the damage? That's the cost of doing business. And it just dawned on me that literally 50% of the population are split on so many topics these days. But in Ireland, it's kind of taboo to be a business owner. No one likes to see people prospering, even though I'm creating jobs and pumping money into the local economy here. 50% of people still hate the fact that I'm out there making a go of it. They have this entitled attitude that they can just walk into a business, do damage, and haha, you're a business owner. Deal with it. If you're interested, go on to my TikTok. It's the Jack Martin personal one, and look through the comments. I think people watching here on YouTube will be actually amazed with the response. So I'll get straight into some of the questions that were left on my previous videos. Andy Roo 45, when you say warranty, who covers the repair work when things go wrong? Is it out of your pocket or do you submit a claim through the warranty company? So we have two different types of warranties. A local one, which is for people in Tipperary. We bring them back here, we get the work done in-house. When I say in-house, the garage that I outsource the work to. All that comes out of my pocket. If someone buys a car nationwide, I have them on a Motor Shield policy. And the way this works is they're not an insurance company, they're just a facilitator. So if you're up in Drogheda and you have an issue with a car, they'll get you into one of their garages in Drogheda. It's still me footing the bill, so there's no trying to wriggle out on small print. It's always me covering it, and that just seems to work better than any of the other traditional external warranty companies. Mr. Wibbleman says, thanks for the video. Question. Why do you and other dealers show mileage of cars in miles? Has been KMs in the Republic for a long time now. Just because the mileage is in miles is a smaller number. Yes, it is a smaller number, but I don't think people are conned by that anymore. On our website, it has it in miles and kilometers. If a northern import comes in and I'm throwing up a video on TikTok or whatever, I'm just going to read out the miles because that's how it came in. If it's a Jap import or an Irish car and the clock is in kilometers, I read it out in kilometers. I don't always do it in miles. Sammy Hamid says, fair play to you lad. If you have any M3s or the like, I'll be happy to take a look. Sammy, we've tried performance cars a few times and rarely did it work out for us. I had an M4 over the summer, had it here for a couple of months. Thought the market on it was a lot stronger than it was. Thought I was going to have it for a while, enjoy it, and then sell it at like a 10 grand profit. I ended up losing 3,750 euros on it. We had an S3 here that I thought would sell straight away. Had to reduce the price numerous times to get it to move. Came back with warranty issues. Lost a nice bit of money on that as well. And we sold the Golf GTI around 7 or 8 months after first opening up. Sold really well and didn't lose too much on it. Actually made a few bob on that one. But there's a lot of them coming in from Japan. The market is getting a bit saturated and there's not as much margin in them for the warranty exposure. I'll make as much out of one of the cars that I know here and I know how to buy right, and they'll cause me less headaches. So I'm going to stay away from performance cars, generally speaking, from now on. Robovac. No high-end car dealer should have so many weeds growing on their forecourt. You're 100% correct. I have very poor attention to detail. I hadn't even noticed how bad the yard was gone. A couple of people left comments like this and I have gotten it sorted. It looks a lot better now. Still waiting for the moss to die off, but should be right as rain in a couple of weeks. Barry Hunt, what in your opinion is good about German cars? So aesthetics, performance, comfort and reliability. Now I know some people might think reliability, I don't know about that anymore. Compared to your other run-of-the-mill stuff, they are more reliable. However, if they do go wrong, they are more expensive to maintain. There's no denying that. Max Pickaxe. You mentioned some things move quick and others don't. However, I wonder with supply and demand, do you not set prices such as that everything moves at a similar speed? If one thing is not moving as quickly, you lower the price. Is your goal to get everything moving at the same speed? Are there situations where certain vehicles make sense to move slower? It's very hard to get this right all the time. It's actually impossible. Just say I have those Mercedes out there now. If I reduce the price in them completely just to move them on, what am I going to be replacing them with? I'm going to be replacing them with something similar. And who's to say that they're going to move as quick? So I'd love every car to sell within a day or two, but it just does not happen. It doesn't happen in any dealership unless you're absolutely giving them away. And when you're given a good warranty as well, you can't just reduce cars all the time to get them to move super fast. You have to sit on them and wait for the right buyer to come along sometimes. What else can I say about that really? You could go through a phase of 5 Series selling to bait the band. You couldn't keep enough of them in the forecourt, and next thing you have 4 or 5 of them on the forecourt for a month and very few inquiries. The market is just a little bit all over the place. The Code EP, not a Golf R in sight. Yeah, back to the performance car stuff. The kind of person, generally speaking, that may buy Golf R especially the ones in the years I'd be selling at 15, 16, 17. They're going to be younger lads, they're going to be trashing them, they're going to be doing launch controls the whole time, and gearboxes are going to be caving in, and I'm going to have to foot out the bill and warranty. I'd just rather stay away from them. Greg O'Reilly, best of luck Jack, great video. If you ever get a decent X3 M Sport, I'll drop down. Greg, I do like the cars. We had an X5 here before and I loved it, but it took a while to sell. The higher end stuff, although it looks really flashy on the showroom, for the price of a decent X3 M Sport, I could have 2 5 Series and I'll flip them 2 or 3 times each before I'd sell that X3 usually. So yeah, for the next year or two, I don't see myself getting into that heavy SUV stuff. Now Tiguan's, R-Line Tiguan's are great, Sportline Kodiaqs are great, but as far as the heavy X5s and X3s goes, not for me at the minute. CC Banger 1414, the Audi, if it's a fault, P200 200 DPF, low threshold, its EGR cooler needs to be fitted to the car. Yes, this is very common on the Audis from 2012 up to about 2018. We've had a couple of A6s need EGRs and an A5 or two, and it's not cheap. It is not cheap. You could be talking the guts of £1,000, maybe even more. It's been a while since I've had to do one. We recently had a new model A6 where the whole system was blocked up, so we had to send the EGR, DPF, manifold off to be cleaned. The whole thing cost me like 4.5, 5 grand to fix. An absolute nightmare of a job. Derek O'Brien, how is it viable to bring in UK cars, VRT, etc.? A lot of the time it isn't. The Northern cars are our least profitable car. We get them because we just need the stock. You can't have an empty forecourt. You need things turning over here. We do fairly well out of some of them now. I'm not crying to pour them out, but on average, they're definitely our least profitable car. We were buying from BCA for a little while. We got a few 330e hybrids and we did fairly all right out of them. But the prices in the UK are just gone ridiculous. The only way you can get value going through the UK is, and I was talking to someone about this a couple of days ago, is if you set up a company in the UK, you buy them through that, you sell them to your other company, you do something with the VAT margin or VAT qualifying. I didn't get into the details of it, but sounds like a lot of rigmarole. If I was a bigger scale operation, I'd probably look into it. But as of now, it's not worth my while bringing in from mainland UK. Tom Wall 7966, most costly part of any garage would be stock loan to get up and running. BMW's flying out at the moment and Audis for some reason. This is why a lot of garages in the UK are not doing well. It's because they're owned by the banks. They start with nothing, take out these huge stock loans with high interest, and their margins are tiny on every car. We don't actually have a stock loan. We are entitled to one now after being in business 2 years, and I'm looking into it and I might dip into it a small bit. I don't know if I want to, but it would be useful at times if some good opportunities come along for good value stock. We do have a credit line, so if I'm waiting for bank drafts to clear, I'll dip into the credit line a little bit, but currently for the last couple of weeks we haven't been in it at all pretty much. So yeah, stock loans, tread carefully, that's all I'll say. How do Japanese cars have such low mileage? Not all of them do, Cahill. I bid on a car last night in the Jap auction with 140 kilometers. I didn't win it either. I bid on about 40 cars last night and won none. Very frustrating. But that's a story for a different day. A lot of Jap imports do have lower mileage because if you think over their transportation system, how good it would be compared to here, how densely populated the place is as well. So traffic jams, I'd say, are cruel over there. It's probably easier just to get the tram or the train or whatever. But there's a mix. They're not all low mileage. Podrick says, no one's interested in your business plan or your issues with the bank or your hard drinking days or your parental leave. Any cars for sale? Podrick, you can see all our cars for sale on our TikTok, Instagram, Facebook or our website. Feel free to buy one. Thanks for the comment. Brian Bickle says, don't touch anything with an Ingenium engine, break your heart with warranty or wet belts. Ingeniums are in the Land Rover, Jaguar, Range Rover cars. I think they're the 2 litre engine. I have never been able to take a Jaguar Land Rover as a trade-in because I sure as hell don't want it, and nobody I know in the trade is willing to give an offer on it. Stay away from those brands. Samuel05, who's Paul O'Connor Cars? Paul O'Connor Cars is the Aldi version of Jack Martin. He is like down here and I'm up here. I get a lot of comments on TikTok saying, you're just a Paul O'Connor ripoff, you're copying Paul O'Connor. And I always say, you're damn right, I'm going to copy some of what Paul O'Connor does. Paul O'Connor is a very successful car dealer. I'd be a fool not to copy him. Paul's a good friend of mine. He is kind of a bit of a trendsetter. He was the first one doing all this Irish social media stuff in the car industry. So go and check him out. YouTube user. 2 things in my experience for a profitable and sustainable pre-owned dealership is buying the right stock at the right price. You need to prep the cars yourself, with the exception of paintwork and advanced auto electrical work. It will significantly reduce prep and warranty work costs and reduce turnaround time for prep and warranty work. I had a discussion with this man in the comments, and I currently outsource all my mechanical work, and since day one I've been debating whether I want to open up my own workshop and have it all in-house. It's definitely costing me more outsourcing, at least 20 grand a year more, and that's before I take into consideration the upside of doing some service work for the general public and making money off that. However, I think if I had a workshop, me not being from a mechanical background, I would really struggle with managing it. I wouldn't know if a mechanic was a good mechanic or a bad mechanic. I'd have a lot more headaches, I'd have bigger overheads. I would, however, recession-proof my business, because if people stop buying cars, they're going to start maintaining them even more, and that would safeguard us a little bit here. Yeah, it's one I'm going to keep pondering, but for the next year anyway, I'll keep outsourcing. Very happy with the relationship I have with Curtains. Barry Courtney, just wondering, Jack, after you spending so much on the Skoda with a timing belt brakes, full service, why did you sell it to the trade? You basically had it retail ready. In the previous video I mentioned my friend Barry was looking for a Skoda Superb for his son. He has a workshop in Cork. Me and Barry had a great relationship while I was down there. I had a very good time for him and he's helped me out loads. So even though I had pumped a lot of work into this car, I gave it to Barry at a small margin with no warranty. I would have rather sell it myself. I would have made more money, but I was happy to help out Barry, right? No problem there. However, the day Barry and his son came to collect it, an issue arose with the car. They had drove a couple of kilometers down the road and a light came on. It turned out to be the fuel pressure pump, and it ended up costing me a lot of money. So I actually ended up selling that car at a loss. I could have turned around to Barry and said, Barry, I'm now in the red. I need more money off you for this car. But in business, your word is your bond. And I know it's so cliche, but I'm not going to backtrack on a deal. If a customer comes into me, they sign a 6-month warranty, and 3 or 4 months later they come into me and they say, Jack, I have a €300 repair. I want you to pay it. It's not about the money for me, it's about the principle. And I always say no, I'm firm with them. I say, look, if you have an issue under warranty, I'll look after you. But we made an agreement. Pull up your big boy pants, you bought a big boy car, fix it yourself. And this doesn't happen too often, but it's happened 2 or 3 times over the last year. So I would be such a hypocrite if I had struck a deal with Barry and then reneged on him. It's just not something you do in business. Your integrity and your credibility is everything. That is all for today's video. If you have any questions that you would like answered in the next few videos, leave them in the comments and I'll be glad to get back to them.